with the upcoming release of Lightfall, our mods are about to be changed forever. With that knowledge, a lot of our current builds in the game aren't going to perform the way they are right now. So I wanted to start a series leading up to Lightfall where I make a build with every single class and subclass that we currently have in the game. These builds are not going to take advantage of any combat style mods and heavily focus on fragments, exotics, and aspects. Normally, if you use these builds with mods equipped, it is just the cherry on top. And of course, before you start doing anything in Lightfall, you can obviously take a look at the new mod system and try to insert what you think might work. This is just supposed to be a clean slate and give you all an idea of what is some of the strongest stuff in the game right now for each of the classes. If anything changes in the future, I will make an updated video talking about what I think could be better. And like I said, if you're interested in every single class and subclass, be sure to check out the channel and give the series a watch. And in this one, I want to go over the Arc Titan, arguably one of the strongest classes in the game still. Now, this build has actually received a lot of nerfs since its initial release. When it came out, I think we all realized just how broken storm grenades were going to be on the Titan, and pairing that with Heart of Endless Light, we definitely made the right assumption. This build took over the game and was pretty much the only build Titans would run for a short period of time. Most every single Titan build in the game right now is pretty good, but the only one that really could compare to this was Bonk Camera Titan, and this arguably was a little bit better when it first came out. Regardless of all the nerfs, this is still a top tier build and is going to get even better in Lightfall. All right, so jump right into it. We're going to take a look at our aspects and we're going to be running Touch of Thunder and Knockout. If you don't know what these do, Touch of Thunder is basically going to buff your grenades up depending on what grenade you are running. Specifically with this build, we're going to be focused on Storm Grenade or maybe equip Pulse Grenade depending on what you want to do. So Storm Grenade is actually going to create a roaming thundercloud after its initial detonation that will track down enemies and just do some more damage, whereas Pulse Grenade will increase damage over time and spawn ionic traces every single time your Pulse Grenade hits a target. Both of these are great options to take, but Storm Grenade has got nerfed a lot, so if you want to try out Pulse Grenade, you definitely cannot go wrong with that. Now, Knockout is an aspect. When you break an enemy shield or get them weak, you're going to infuse your melee with arc energy, and you basically could do arc damage on your melee attack. On top of that, when you kill an enemy with your melee ability, you will become amplified and start your health generation. This is honestly a very strong aspect to just get on-demand amplified and have the ability to health regen pretty much anytime you want to, because when you do infuse that arc energy, you will get more range and damage, which makes it pretty easy to kill whatever is shooting at you. Now, between both of those aspects, you're playing heavily into your grenade and your melee, so we're going to be running, like I said, Storm Grenade or Pulse Grenade depending on what you want to do and how you like to play this specific build. I personally still run Storm Grenade because it is still very strong and it is extremely good for ad clear, but Pulse Grenade may net you a little bit more single target damage if you want to run something like that. Now, for melee, Thunderclap is still my go-to because it is just really easy to get a kill. It makes it really easy to proc Knockout because you can just charge it up and you're pretty much guaranteed to kill even in GMs. But if you want to run something like Seismic Strike, with Lightfall coming out, this will actually blind enemies while you're amplified. Blinding enemies will actually stun unstoppable champions in Lightfall, so this could be a very fun option to try out if you do want a champion stunning tool. Now, for class ability, I would highly recommend running Thruster. If you want to take Rally Barricade, you can. If you want a little protection, it does add a 2-second cooldown, but the main reason you want to run Thruster is because it has a 36-second cooldown. We're going to be pairing all our abilities with the exotic Heart of Endless Light, which has the exotic perk Overflowing Light. Using an ability, Grenade, Melee, or Barricade empowers the other two abilities. Empower means abilities have faster regen, melees and grenades do more damage, and barricades have more hit points. So it says Barricade, but this also does work with your Thruster. So whenever you're using any of your abilities, you're getting more cooldown rate and damage. This means your grenades doing better for ad clear, your melee makes it easy to proc Knockout, and your Thrusters is going to cool down faster to help your grenade melee get back faster. This is one of the most broken exotics in the entire game, if not the most broken exotic in the entire game, and it just turns this build up to 11. It's also extremely easy to use. You don't have to think about whatever you're doing. Just throw your abilities and you're getting a bunch of benefits. Now, for super, I would highly recommend running Thunder Crash over Fist of Havoc. Thunder Crash is just going to be good for single target damage, and you can also swap to things like Cuirass of the Falling Star just to increase that Thunder Crash damage. Since it is an exotic chest piece, it's really easy to swap in between the two. Now, for fragments, I like to run Spark of Resistance, so while surrounded by combatants, you are more resistance to incoming damage. This is just really good for survivability. I also like to run Spark of Shock, so your arc grenades jolt targets. This is going to be really good for ad clear because Jolt's extremely strong for ad clear, but on top of that, Jolt will actually stun overload champions in Lightfall. So this means your Storm Grenade now has the ability
to stun overload, which is really cool. And again, if you want to take Seismic Strike, that can stun unstoppables. Now I also like to run Spark of Ions. Defeating jolted targets creates an ionic trace. Since we're going to be jolting enemies everywhere with our Storm Grenade and even some of our weapon perks, this means we'll just get ionic traces to feed some ability energy back, which helps us spam all our abilities even more. Then finally, Spark of Magnitude. So your lingering arc grenades, lightning grenade, pulse grenade, and storm grenade have extended duration. So like I said, you can either run storm or pulse with this build. This will just buff both of those up and make them last a little bit longer. Now, weapons with this build, you can run pretty much whatever you want to. I do have an Arbalist equipped just to have intrinsic anti-bear, because if I do end up taking Seismic Strike, that means I have access to all 3 champions, which is really, really cool. And then for power weapon, obviously, whatever's going to be the meta. I just have a Taipan equipped right now, but this could potentially be bad in Lightfall, so definitely be sure to just keep up with whatever the DPS meta is going to be. But the main thing is make sure you have a weapon with Volt Shot. This could be any arc weapon. This is going to make it when you reload the weapon after defeating a target, it will overcharge the weapon for a short period of time and it will cause jolt on its next hit. This is the same exact jolt in the subclass. This means you will be spawning ionic traces. That means you can also overload champions in Lightfall with it. And also with Lightfall, match game is going away, so it is beneficial to actually take something that synergizes with your subclass so you can get as many benefits as possible. This is going to help out with ad clear, and you can also stun champions. And with Volt Shot and the subclass combined, the synergy is just really crazy. Now, I would highly recommend 100 resilience and 100 discipline with this build. 100 resilience is going to get nerfed. It's only going to give you 30% damage reduction in Lightfall, but pairing that with Spark of Resistance, you're still going to get a hefty amount and the ability to always proc your knockout all the time. This means you're always going to have that health regen coming back. Discipline is a no-brainer, so you can throw as many grenades as possible. And if you can get triple 100s, I would definitely recommend either going recovery or strength, so you can spam your melee even more often, or if you just want recovery for survivability, that is a good option too. Now for mods, like I always say, I'm not doing combat style mods because this whole system is getting changed up completely in Lightfall, but for mods we know that are going to stay, just remove their element. Things like ashes to assets, so you're going to gain bonus super energy on grenade kills. Right now I have 2 equipped, but I honestly would recommend just running a harmonic siphon alongside just running 1 ashes to assets. You do technically get more energy if you run double, but the extra little bit you get is honestly not worth it when you can make orbs with your weapon that matches your subclass type, since you're always going to be running a Volt Shot weapon in the first place. Harmonic siphon will also help out a lot later in the build too, so this is just a very good option to slot in. And then make sure you have 1 ashes to assets, because you'll get a lot more super energy. Now I do have a SMG loader on here, and you can swap this out to whatever Volt Shot weapon you are currently running, but the main thing is I have a bolstering detonation, so when I damage an enemy with a grenade, it will grant me some class ability energy. And with Heart of Immense Light wanting you to save your abilities as much as possible, it's really good to keep mods in that will also give you ability energy back, because that will just make this even easier to do. Even though we can't take advantage of combat style mods with these builds, you still pretty much have infinite uptime on your abilities, which is honestly just crazy and shows how broken this exotic is. Now always remember to take your resilience mods. I know I say this in every single video, but with things like Lightfall comes out, if energy diffusion substrate is a thing, this is just going to be an unlockable perk now. So always remember to keep on the permanent mods, things like concussive dampener, anything like that, just depending on what you're going into, what has the most enemies of that type, and you'll be good to go. Now I also like to take a recuperation and an innervation. Recuperation will give you some health when you pick up an orb of power. Innervation will give you some grenade cooldown when you pick up an orb of power. Obviously for up health is going to be good for survivability, and picking up grenade energy is going to be really good for spamming your grenades. The reason we're running harmonic siphon is so we can create those orbs with our Volt Shot weapon, and that will then further proc these mods, which are going to be really, really beneficial to you. And then finally, I like to run double bomber, so this is going to reduce my grenade cooldown when I use my class ability. Again, just like bolstering detonation, having mods that will reduce your cooldowns when you're using your cooldowns will pair extremely well with Heart of Immense Light, because that's what the whole exotic's purpose is. So this means now when you use your thruster, you're going to get a bunch of storm grenade energy back or pulse grenade, and you are going to be able to spam them everywhere. But that is pretty much the build. All you really do is just throw all your abilities, and then everything else is just kind of working in the background for you. From time to time, make sure you are getting kills with your weapon so you can make orbs, so you can proc recuperation if you do need some health. And with everything working in the subclass, all it's really doing is just amplifying your abilities. There's nothing like super crazy that's going on that's super hidden tech or anything. It's really just making everything you already have in your kit just even better. And with Lightfall, it will have the addition to actually stun champions, which just makes it a whole lot better. But anyways, that's pretty much gonna do it for the build. I really hope y'all enjoyed. It's pretty
straightforward. It's really good. It did get nerfed, but it is still just a super easy build to play if you don't really know what to do on your Titan. Maybe you made another class and you need to do some in-game content on your Titan. Just equip this and you're good to go. If you'd like to try it out, I will have a dim link to it in the description below. If you all enjoy and learn anything new, consider subscribing, drop a like, turn notifications on. Also, if you'd like to join my Discord or follow me on any of my socials, all that will be linked in the description as well. But just know watching this video is way more than enough, and every single bit of support from you all is truly appreciated. Thank you all so much for watching this one, and have a great day. Peace.